What is going on, guys? This is Jordan here, back again with another video, and today obviously we're doing episode 3 of the internship game. So in the first episode you saw me go a bit into my my CV, sorry, and obviously the last episode I start applications and stuff. Today we're going to go into some more applications, and I'm also going to touch on something that I missed in the first episode, which you probably guessed it, was my cover letters, and yeah, we'll go from there. So the first thing I missed, if I quickly record my screen, is I'm going to start off by showing you guys the Excel spreadsheet that I started. So obviously you can see here that I haven't really got anything yet. Obviously Jeep is something that I didn't talk about before, but this is an SEO opportunity. It stands for the Graduate Engineers Engagement Program, like roughly. And that's kind of like just sitting around with other employers and talking to employers about different opportunities to offer engineers. Off camera, of course, I applied to BAML and I made a start on EY, but you'll see in a second that I haven't quite finished it yet. Microsoft is the next interesting one, which I'm going to show you guys as we go through. So if I close this down, you can see, as I mentioned 2 seconds ago, we're going to have a look at my cover letters. And in this one, instead of me recording my screen, actually, I'm going to show you a screenshot similar to how I did with my CV one. That should be up here, if not already. And you can see that it's not typical, I suppose. It doesn't really follow a structure. It's kind of like, I start off by saying how I found it, then I talk about my academics, then I go into more job specific skills, then I kind of talk a little bit about how I want to grow more and how I've experienced XYZ, which makes me want to try this more, and I kind of talk about cross-platform skills. Like you can see at the bottom I'm talking about my EY spring internship, which isn't necessarily relevant, but it still shows a variety of skills that are applicable for this sort of job. This was actually a startup I applied for, an SME, to do with, let me see if I can find it. I think it's a maths tutoring thingy somewhere. Yeah, it's like teaching maths. So that was kind of what I was going for here. And there's not really much to show here other than, like I mentioned, my blog, of course, increased sales by 40% in a row. And it's just a lot of writing. I feel like there's a lot here. I didn't even hear back from this guy, so I don't think this is a good example of a good cover letter. But regardless, you've seen it, and we're gonna work on this one a little bit in a sec when I go to apply to Microsoft. But if I close this one down, you can see Google up here next as well. I applied to Google once upon a time, and actually when I applied, I had this "Who am I" bit was in different colors, representing the Google colors, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't think they did so much. But then I have these 2 paragraphs here in bold where I'm talking about how I finished in second. Finished in second, I mean, I actually did, but I feel like it's better that I told the truth instead of lying. 1, because lying's stupid anyway, and 2, because it kind of shows resilience as well. Like, if you just say I won this, I won that, I was captain, and we won the cup, it's like, you seem to have come from height to height. Whereas if you say that we got to the final and lost, it kind of shows that you had that like the winner's mentality kind of thing. You got over it and you kept pushing for more. And it shows that you're kind of humble as well, as opposed to just I'm the best at everything. So there's that. I don't maybe they read this for, oh, this is sick, but he finished second, so we're not gonna give him the job. But I don't think so. Obviously, as I mentioned, all the bold stuff. I'm not too sure about the who am I, why me, and what I can bring to the role thing. In my head, this made sense. This is when I was at my peak blogging like time, so I was very specific about my titles and subtitles, so people knew what was what. I don't know if it's good or bad. I've never actually had my cover letter, sorry, reviewed by anyone. So I don't have any feedback. I don't know if this is good or bad. This is kind of like my first draft. Whereas my CV, as you guys know from episode 1, has been a long process of improvement. So actually, I might get this seen by someone very soon and then get back to you guys later on. But regardless, you've seen my 2 cover letters now. They're basically exactly the same, other than a few small details like the bold writing and stuff, and the structure is a little different, but otherwise that's that. Those are my cover letters. So let me close this down now and go straight back into the Chrome window. And as you can see here, this is the Microsoft Quiz and Tech Insight Day, and the very last line here, well, like second last line, whatever, says to apply, please visit this link and upload your CV and the cover letter, both in the same document, saying why Microsoft's the place you want to work for and stuff like that. So I'm not going to do that right now because, as I just showed you guys, my cover letter isn't, 100%. So I'm going to touch up that a little bit, come back to this obviously before the 17th. But in the meantime, I started this EY application. But as you can see here, it says the stage will take approximately 90 minutes. I've done the first two stages, registration and like my details. I think both learning for the changing world and learning on the job, I think they're both forms of online tests, and I think they're both going to take 90 minutes. So instead of me doing it now, I'm going to come back to it tomorrow. I'm going to take the afternoon off, like off-ish of lectures, and do some mock tests, see if I can get some good results. Then I'll come back to this. I'm pretty sure this isn't the typical like numerical test and written test and stuff, but regardless, I'm going to do some practice just so I'm sharper, and then we'll come back to this tomorrow, because 90 minutes, an hour and a half, that like that sounds more like an endurance mission as opposed to like just being clever. So I want to be in a good place. It's like 9 o'clock now. I want to do it maybe like 3 p.m. when I'm like more focused. So yeah, that'll be tomorrow, of course. Microsoft, I'm going to do the cover letter, obviously off camera, and then I'll show you guys that document tomorrow before I submit it. And then another thing I noticed whilst I was going through is a lot of these opportunities, even though they say they're for like insights or for second years, for first years or whatever, when you actually go through the whole Bright Network stuff and you click on apply, it takes you to the actual employer's page where it says all the actual details. So the one for Siemens, for example, even though it looks amazing, it was their competition. When I scrolled through, it said you have to be from like 10 universities, including like Oxford, Cambridge, Bath, Imperial College London, but not Bristol, unfortunately. So what that means is that I can't apply for it, even though I have the right criteria and I meet the requirements. I don't go to one of their base unis, I suppose, so I can't do that. So that tab is gone. Another thing is, yeah, this is the one actually, Sir William Siemens Challenge. If you like click through and you follow through to the end, you realize that you have to be at a certain university. So let me close this tab down now because it's not it's not useful for me. What that leaves me with here is obviously the Royal Navy, and I mean there's still loads of other tabs here, it's not that big a deal. But what is kind of important is I was going to keep these tabs open. The Digital Insight Week for PwC, for example, Deloitte have their early careers program. I was going to keep them open till November when they open their own things. But I've realized that almost every firm has their own system for keeping you updated. Like PwC have their talent network, KPMG have super something, I can't remember what it's called, but they have their own network where they send you the details as and when they're necessary. So instead of me keeping this open and coming back every day until November, I can just register my interest here, give them my email address and some other things, first name and blah blah blah, how do I find them, and then they'll keep me updated from now on. So that's a nice little shortcut. I'll do that in a sec off camera. KPMG, of course, as I said, you sign up here as well. I'm not going to bother with this one because I have an event with KPMG on Friday. This is through Upreach, just like one of the things I've talked about in the past. And when I go there, I'm going to talk to them more specifically about the role and stuff. Actually, what I find interesting is their student careers page is identical to to that of EY. The whole sign up, new candidates, the same buttons. So it'll be interesting if the same like engineering department or whatever coded a lot of these careers platforms to different firms. That would be cool to know. Obviously, it makes no difference in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, I'd like to know that. I might find out who their client is, or is it client? They're the client, who their provider is, or whatever. They're developers. Yeah, whatever. Deloitte is another one of the big four. So I mean, I've basically just gone through the big four now: KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, and EY. Obviously, I don't know if Accenture is still a top. Were they ever big four, or are they just really, really good? I don't know. I'm not sure. Accenture are one of my favorites as well. But Deloitte, I will click apply now and just see what their... Oh, I'm not doing this now. Okay, let me click on requirements instead, because instead of me going through the whole application process, let me find out now if I actually can apply to it. So the one I want is, of course, Spring into Deloitte. Spring is like obviously wordplay for Spring Week. If I click on that, it says predicted a 2-1, obviously UCAS points, GCSE English and Maths, over C basically. Well, it says C and B, but basically C. And that's basically all it says. It doesn't say much else, so I'm pretty sure that means I'm good to apply to this. But let me go back to some of these earlier tabs so I can get them out of the way quickly. This one, for example, it says available to complete internship in the summer of 19 and the potential for a graduate program the following year. So obviously, because I graduate 2022, I'm not going to be available to do a graduate program in 2020. So that means this one right off the bat, I can close down because there's no point like holding on to it. And I feel like a lot of other internships have the same mentality. They want you to do your summer or your spring and then graduate role the next year. So that is a big red flag, obviously, for me when it comes to me doing a 4 year course. Of course, this is Goldman Sachs. This also says 10 week summer program, so I'm not too sure if I'll be allowed to do it. But as I said, sometimes the data on Bright Network or GradCracker Rate My Placement is not always consistent with the program itself. So let me go into it and see just off this first page if it says anything. Like it says here, eligibility is for candidates pursuing a career, currently pursuing college or university degree, undertaken their second or penultimate year. So second year or penultimate year. I'm pretty sure that means one of the two, which means I'm eligible. And obviously all these other, the rest of this data is kind of irrelevant, but it's, it's there. Off cycle here. This is a 3 to 6 months. So off cycles generally aren't what you want to look for. They're more for people that didn't get summers or springs, or kind of maybe they want longer experience, or they want the chance to work for them outside of summer and spring, like during the term or something. So I don't need that. Even though it's Goldman Sachs is a cool firm, it's not something I need. Softwire, never heard of them before, but I'm gonna hold on to that. Summer internship. See, this is cool, but then it also says soft short internship. So I'm gonna keep an eye on both of these, and I'll come back to this later. And this is basically what you want to do. Once you have everything open, you want to go through and systematically delete. So you come down to a small pool of like, or all the ones you can apply for, basically, and then you want to go through that systematically. There's actually quite a lot here to go through. I'm not going to do it now. I'll do it off camera. But as you can see, most of the data you need, most of the information is all readily available on GradCracker here. The other one was Bright Network, and I haven't got to the Rate My Placement tabs yet, but it's all here. It's all useful. Free placements here. It says tech placement, free 6 or 12 months. Summer internship or pre-internship insight, which is kind of what I want to go for. This would be the one. Obviously December 1st, deadline December 31st, sorry, so I've got some time there. And one by one, we're just going through and seeing what's the best. There's actually a new one here for BlackRock. They've just introduced the Spring Insight program, which wasn't here yesterday, so that's cool. Deadline ongoing, that means rolling deadline. And yeah, let's do the rest of this off camera, and then what I'll do next in the next episode or the next segment, depending on how long it is to edit and stuff, is I'll show you my completed cover letter, and I'll have applied to some of these off camera, and hopefully with any luck by the time the next episode of this comes out, we're just going to be like, today's the 8th of October, I'm going to do some flip challenge stuff, and then this should come back on the 27th, if not November. So by then, hopefully we have not only some some interviews, but where necessary, hopefully we can get some assessment centers where I actually get to go outside instead of sitting on my computer all day. But nonetheless, yeah, let's keep it moving. We move. Obviously, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, comment, reach out on Instagram, Twitter, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And I'll talk to you guys in episode 4. Peace.